5 unbeaten, but 2 draws in the last 2 as Town heads to struggling Sheffield Wednesday, looking to rebuild some momentum before the run-in proper. Welcome to Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast. Welcome to the Prematch show, Sheffield Wednesday edition. Joining me, as always, Seb Brown. And you were there Tuesday night, Seb in Stoke. And I think the context of that outcome, we've debated the penalty, we've talked about Dave's words, the honking performance in the first half. But the mood lifted some 24 hours later when Harry Clark and Charlton did us a massive favour.
Yeah, thank God it's back in our own hands again. Thankfully, I was proper deflated driving back after the Stoke game. It was about an hour and 15-minute drive for me back to Chester. And I had to convince myself on several occasions we had actually got a point because it really did feel like a defeat, the manner of the awful first half, like you just discussed, the comeback. You think you've finally done it. You think you've ticked that box about coming from behind for the first time in God knows how many, nearly 2 seasons now. And then the manner of the equaliser, obviously. And I had to tell myself we did get a point, and then pretty deflated on Wednesday morning it would have been. I think I'd kind of made peace with the fact it was probably going to be a 3rd or 4th place finish. I think I was writing off the top 2 because it felt like there was just going to be too much to do, and suddenly out of nowhere Harry Clark lobs a long throw in from the touchline. Connor Cody stabs home, and Borough got they were football managed, weren't they, or FIFA'd as the kids would say, because they had something like 30 shots, didn't they, and didn't really seem to create that much clear-cut chances. But it's back in our hands again, and we'll see what this weekend brings. Football's such a funny sport, isn't it? You can go from the kind of the lows after a midweek draw to the highs of last night. So we will see. I'm sure there's plenty more twists and turns to come, and I'm certainly a lot happier now, or 24 hours ago, than I was on the morning of the Wednesday, because I was proper grumpy.
Yes, yeah, and you weren't alone, but you obviously, along with 2,000 others, were there to see it in the flesh, and it's always so much more visceral and hurtful, I think, when you're in the crowd and having kind of had the highs and the lows or the lows and the highs, I should say, and then snatched away from you. Do you want to discuss the penalty situation at all, or the probably more to Paul's point here in the chat? Hello, chat. We see you. Let us know you're there. Kipre now having a too much ban for, I guess, dissent against Leicester, and probably a booking for the incident that the referee claimed to have seen, or obviously saw, or interpreted as a foul, and now he misses 2 matches.
Yeah, frustrating. I thought in real time it was a penalty. We were at the other end of the ground, so it was quite hard to see. But the way the guy falls, I did naturally assume he'd been pulled back. And it's, when you look at it back, it's not a penalty, is it? It's quite a clever bit of gamesmanship from the Stoke forward to kind of put himself down in that manner to make it look like he's been pulled back. And yeah, Kipre obviously, was proper apoplectic after the Leicester one was ruled out, got himself a yellow card to take him to 9 bookings, and then got his 10th of the evening against Stoke in midweek. So I'll be honest, I didn't think he was great at all. I know he put the lovely ball through George Hurst for the
equal. Player of the match by Sky.
I don't know where that came from.
Dave and I talked about it. I couldn't see it, and as soon as he was awarded, it was like there will be another moment involving Kipre that will make him question that decision.
But even before that, the whole defence was, the first half was absolutely awful. I think it was the worst half I'd seen us play this season. Even they weren't that bad at Wrexham at times. And, Hull away was just 2 crap teams, and Charlton the second half perhaps. But for me, seeing it live in the stadium, Stoke first half was the worst I've seen us play this season. And yeah, Kipre just, he got put on his arse for the first goal. He kind of appealed for a handball, and maybe, leave that to the players around you and just focus on doing your job for the opening goal. And when people said he got man of the match, I was absolutely staggered, and it's his fault at the end with those 2 headers up the pitch, and then kind of goes down injury, and then thinks I better get up and run back. He's out of position, and then it's a calamity of errors, and Leif Davis puts the ball straight in the air, full on misses a kick, and look, you and Dave did it to death, and it's one of those incredibly frustrating ones. Again, I guess it gives our record of Stoke is a horrible place to go and watch football. I think I've been there 6-7 times now, and I've never seen us win.
Yeah, so don't go back. You don't need to. You ticked it off. It's
okay,
done.
Yeah. If Preston, I'll just draw a line under them and never go ever again.
Blackburn, yeah. So if you were to relive that, and then that show is available from midweek. If you want to consign it to history, like we are, we're moving on. There's always another game. So But that show is there if you want to react. G'day to Michael. He's with us in Brisbane. 21 degrees at 6 a.m. It's windy and grotty down here in Suffolk. Seb, you got a similar up where you pray for the days of 21 degrees and breakfast on the patio, don't we? Blimey. It's not too far away, hopefully. Nigel's here. Goal difference may well come into it. Hatful against Sheffield Wednesday will help that situation. I think we are going to, as always in the pre-match show, this is kind of it's not a response to Nigel. It's a response to some feedback that we hear from time to time. We will be giving Sheffield Wednesday the respect of speaking about them in the same tones, the same ways as we talk about everyone else. We are here to impart knowledge, so we will talk about Sheffield Wednesday, including the fact that they don't actually generally concede that many goals when they lose games, Nigel. But to the kind of point about the Stoke game, Seb, the first 20 minutes of the second half proves what we can do when we go at teams and have intensity.
Move the ball quickly.
We want to see that on Saturday from the
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Move the ball quickly, start a high tempo, and it makes the world. You can always tell in a town game these days, can't you? 5-10 minutes in, you can very much get a sense for what tempo we're going to play at, and you kind of know how the game is going to go. And yeah, move it with purpose, move it quickly, and we're such a good team when we do that. We just don't do it enough, unfortunately.
Agreed. Streaky's here, still in our hands, he says. Evening to FPL Tractor. On the train, not the tractor, on the train home. Evening to Lynn. And David's here in Helsinki. Lewis, flipping love that shirt. More on that later. Good evening to you, Lewis. FPL Tractor's eldest boy, eldest son, I think. Eldest child, either way. Making the trip up. Fingers crossed for a first win. Or we can have Neil Wilmore territory here. No pressure, FPL Junior. Amanda's here. Yeah, good stuff. Thanks, everyone. We will dip in and out of the chat. Yeah, Harvey's correctly identified 0203 away shirt for me tonight. If you're listening on podcast, Shane is here. Yeah, we'll dip in and out of the chat all night. Give us your views throughout, particularly around certain selection dilemmas, not least the Kipray one. And press conference divulged a bit of injury news as well. So there is going to have to be some jiggery pokery on Saturday. So more on that later. Evening to Gary's here as well. Tammy's here. AD, Stowmarket legend is here too. Great stuff. Thank you everyone for getting involved. Do give us a thumbs up. Let other people know you're here. In terms of bits and pieces of news, Deb, shall we do I feel like this is a bulletin board situation. Plan out. This is we're not quite in running territory. I think we need the international break, and then I'm calling it the run in. But we have our fixture schedule now. Portsmouth and Southampton are set up. And it is as bad as we thought it might be. There's not much we can do about it, but it's congested, isn't it? Blimey, talk us through it.
Yeah, it's very, very busy. I guess they waited for Southampton's outcome in the FA Cup against Fulham to be decided before they wanted to lock these games in. Sky stupidly selected Derby to play Portsmouth. Is it next week, which ruled out that midweek? So there was very few opportunities it could go to. So Portsmouth has now been rearranged for Tuesday, the 14th of April. That is slap bang in between Norwich away and Middlesbrough at home. So that's going to be quite a tasty week. And then continuing the pattern of our two previous promotion seasons in League One and the Championship, we will have a 3-game week in the last week of the season once more, because Southampton has gone to Tuesday, the 28th. That's after the West Brom away weekend and before QPR at home. So there are now going to be 7 games in 23 days in April, and then about 3 days later the QPR game. So yeah, ridiculously busy schedule. Our international break will be slightly longer because we obviously won't play on Good Friday. We'll play on Easter Monday against Birmingham. So yeah, really, really busy. And they've not even announced the TV picks yet, have they? So I mean, Middlesbrough will move. I guess all it can now move to will be a 12:30 on a Saturday. I can't see it going anywhere else. They're not going to be able to put it on the Monday night because we're going to Pompey. So we're going to Pompey. Is it? I don't know. I think that'll be at 12:30. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And yeah, it's going to be very busy, and the squad is going to be pushed to its absolute limit. So I guess we'll find out if all that rotation in the first third of the season does pay off. But I quite like the symmetry though of the 3-game week at the end of the season. It's got Barnsley away, one of the greatest away days certainly since I've been following Town, I would suggest. Coventry away in the Championship season. It does feel nice having that midweek where no one else is playing and we kind of know what we have to do. So maybe a bit of symmetry and a bit of hope there. And hopefully by then, Southampton won't be able to get in the playoffs and they'll be on the beach.
There you go. We've spun it into a positive there. Well done, Seb. ITFC women back in action on Sunday. Back down to bottom spot thanks to Portsmouth beating Charlton, which was a bit of a surprise. But Town have 2 games in hand, and it's Durham who they face at midday on Sunday. Worth noting that if you hadn't clocked the earlier kickoff time. And Durham just a bit higher, but catchable if Town get the victory. So Town will be looking to get back to winning ways. It's been a positive start to 2026. I need to keep that form going and get behind the girls at Cole U this Sunday, and then a couple of weeks' time, as we keep mentioning, the Southampton game at Portman Road. So tickets on sale for that. So do support that. Finally, as kind of a segue into Sheffield Wednesday, we need to shout out our friends Tom and Ben, Seb, who have got a pre-match venue option for travelling Town fans this Saturday.
Yeah, get yourself down to the Neeps End Social Club, run by Tom and Ben. I think it's probably the 4th or 5th season. It's going to be hopefully the pre-match venue of choice. About 20-minute walk from Hillsborough or so. Food, beers. If you go on the website, there's directions for parking nearby, etc. So hopefully see as many Town fans there as possible before the game. Great to go and support those guys because they're members of our Telegram group. They're great guys. Get yourself down there, get some beer, get some food before the kickoff.
And there was a TWTD article about it too. So links and stuff in there we'll retweet. But yeah, support some Town fans in, I guess, behind enemy lines on Saturday. But really great venue. And it'd be good to meet up. We'll both be there. There'll be quite a few of the Blue Monday team up there on Saturday. So let's get on to the meat of the agenda, the meat of the sandwich that is the pre-match show, and talk about Sheffield Wednesday. It's difficult to look past the off-field situation and, frankly, the league table, Seb. One of those, ones that owners relegate clubs is a motto or is a saying of this podcast. And if ever you need the evidence of that, just look at Sheffield Wednesday. But maybe a little bit of light towards the end of the tunnel. Of course, they want the season done and dusted, but a decent result midweek and a new preferred bidder. So things are looking up for our friends in Sheffield.
Yeah, it's a rare positive week, I would suggest, in this season, which has kind of been kick after kick after kick. As you just alluded to, we'll discuss it shortly. There was a point on Tuesday night at home to Watford, very close to their first home win of the season. They have won one away game, but haven't won at Hillsborough so far this season. So very close to securing that. And then I guess much more importantly for them, there's a new preferred bidder in the takeover saga. The previous bid, I think, was it 47 million quid? Those guys pulled out and wrote off a deposit they'd paid and some funds they'd put into the club after a bit of due diligence. And this new takeover's come forward. It is much less, and the reports are suggesting it won't meet the minimum 25p in the pound creditor payment threshold, and that will mean they probably will start in League One next season on minus 15 points. But I think at this point they'll probably want to put it to bed, get new ownership in. They can then start to build and plan properly, and hopefully get themselves back up to where they'll feel they belong. So it's been a positive week in a season of let's be honest, everybody doing the 1 to 24s in the summer would have had them rock bottom before the administration because of the ownership and the way the club was going. They are still on minus points. They're on -6. Obviously sat rock bottom, as we know. Relegated last month in the local derby against Sheffield United. Everyone knew that was going to happen, so it's no real surprise. 18-point deduction. I think it was 12 for administration and 6 for not paying staff on time. But even if you factor out that, they would still be on 12 points and therefore still be bottom by a fair distance. Played 37 games. They've won 1 away at Portsmouth back in September, drawn 9, lost 27, 23 goals scored, 74 goals conceded. They had lost 13 games on the bounce before the draw against Watford on Tuesday night. Unsurprisingly, they've scored the fewest goals in the league and they've conceded the highest. Only 3 clean sheets kept all season, but they're not a side that gets battered. You kind of alluded to it, and they're not a side that gets turned over 4, 5, 6-0 every single week. They've only lost by more than 3 goals on 8 occasions. And 13 of their defeats have come by a 1-goal margin. So they are still competitive as they can be. It's no surprise the squad is made up of kids, short-term contracts, players they managed to retain last summer. So it's very much a kind of mixed match of playing staff. The manager is doing a decent job, I would suggest. They all knew which way the writing was going last summer, but they've stuck around, and they don't strike me as a side that's thrown in the towel, I would suggest. They're still trying to do themselves proud and trying to end the season as best they can. Home form, rock bottom. Haven't won a game at Hillsborough, as I've just said. 5 points from the 19 games they've played there, 5 draws. They do average over 2 goals conceded per game at home. And the last 5 at Hillsborough is what the 1-1 draw against Watford in midweek. And previous to that, 4 defeats: Southampton, Millwall, Wrexham, and Birmingham. But for them, they'll want the season to end. They'll want the takeover to go through, and they can start to look to mount a comeback challenge in the summer with new ownership and a bit of kind of structure and control at the top of the football club.
Yeah, damn right. And we don't wish that extended pain as well, frankly, on anyone. We've had some enjoyable history against Sheffield Wednesday in recent years that went in our favour, of course. And we love to talk about Barry Bannon and co. Barry Bannon no longer there, but yeah, really tough times for their fan base, and just get the job done for us on Saturday, isn't it? And worth remembering, and you'll talk about it in a little bit more detail. The game at Portman Road was by no means a walkover in terms of scoreline or performance. In fact, there was a good spell in the second half, particularly I think where they put us under a bit of pressure. So we need to treat them with respect, be professional about it. Do you want to recall the Watford game? Because it was a strange one in terms of the stats and the numbers. It looked like it was fairly even. I saw a momentum graph, and it looked like both teams had kind of chunks of time where they had moments of dominance, but it looks like statistically Watford are maybe a little bit hard done by.
Yeah, I think so. I think Watford should have been a couple of goals in front in the first half, a couple of really good chances. They did carve Wednesday apart at times. They just didn't take those chances, and they finally kind of succumbed. Wednesday went ahead with a header from Jerry Yates. More about him later, a loan signing in January. He's doing pretty well in recent weeks. There was a big chance for Charlie McNeil. I think he played in centre mid at Portman Road, but he's traditionally a striker. He had a big chance to make it 2-0, but Selvig, the Watford keeper, made the save. And then it was a 90th minute equaliser. Piers Childs, the goalkeeper, pushes a shot back into the danger zone. And I think Henrik Pedersen, the Wednesday manager, was suggesting it was offside, but it gets kind of bundled. I mean, it falls as a block, and it falls kindly to Vivaldo, who fires home and breaks Sheffield Wednesday hearts. In terms of the stats, 34% possession for Wednesday, 1.54 XG, 2.45 for Watford. As I said, a couple of chances in that first half would have been high XG for Watford, and they really should have taken at least one of them. They had 11 shots, 4 on target, created 3 big chances. So they did create on the night, conceded 19 shots to Watford, who had 5 on target, and Watford made 5 big chances. So yeah, they'll be frustrated that they weren't able to get it across the line for their first home win of the season. But if you look at the game, look at the highlights, look at some of the stats, it wasn't really necessarily a game I would suggest they probably deserved to win, because of those chances Watford had and just didn't take.
Good goal though. Yates now 3 headed goals, so be wary of that, and a decent ball in from Fusiri. Yeah, it's a decent move, that left to right and then a cross in. So yeah, we need to be wary about that, but it is about what we do mostly this season, and we talked about how we need to start it. And Henrik Pedersen, not that one, as we mentioned in the December preview show, has made them, I was going to say tough to beat. That's not the case, but resilient, as resilient as you can be in the circumstances is probably the headline there, Seb.
Yeah, he's made them stick in, haven't they? They're sticking in games. Like I said, they don't get battered. A lot of the defeats are by 1 goal. So they're trying to give as best account of themselves as they can. He was previously the assistant manager to Danny Rule, who left at the start of last summer. His record is exactly the same as Wednesday's. He's been in charge for the entire season. So it's the 1 win, the 9 draws, and the 27 defeats. He extended his contract last summer. A lot of the turmoil was already going on. Danny Rule kind of wasn't coming back to preseason training. Then he got sacked and ended up now up in Rangers. And Henrik Pedersen took over on a 3-year deal. And in reality, he probably knows he won't be there once the takeover goes through. We all know that, new ownership want to put their own person in the dugout. So he's just got to do the best he can for the rest of the season and act professionally as he is doing. But I'm fairly sure he will be replaced if and when a takeover is finally rubber stamped. He's just got to do the best he can up until that point and keep them as competitive as they can be in games.
Yeah, and it's a challenging situation for a manager, because it's a hodgepodge of experienced pros, youngsters, freebies and quite a lot of loan players too. And there is a big, huge, whereas you could say for Ipswich's squad, we've got a fair balance, but a lot of our players are kind of 25 to 28 range. That is probably the one age range where Wednesday are lacking. They're either in their 30s or in their early 20s. And yeah, you get some good level of experience, but you get a lot of mistakes, and fitness also potentially an issue too. So more on that later. I'd been looking through the history books and thought that we had a pretty positive history against Sheffield Wednesday. There is a spell in the teens where we didn't beat them at all. But this is closer than I thought it was going to be, Seb, in terms of the head-to-head record. What is it? Give us the stats.
It's very close, yeah. 23 wins for Town, 16 draws between the two, and 21 wins for Wednesday. Hillsborough is a really lucky stadium for us to go to. It's not quite Derby levels of a few weeks ago, but it is a ground that we traditionally do okay at. We'll quickly reference earlier on in the season. It was a 3-1 victory at Portman Road back in December. As you said, they not put us under pressure, but it wasn't as comfortable, I think, as we thought it was going to be before kickoff. It was a 3-1 victory. Kipre, Philogene, and Jack Clark, Liam Cooper equalised for them from a set piece. And I guess I was back for that one. I guess the word I would take away from it was a bit underwhelming. I think me and Dave potentially did the flagship after that. And we kind of thought, well, yeah, maybe this is how it's going to be this season. We're going to grind out results, as has proved to be the case since. But yeah, I thought we would probably be more thorough on the day and probably put them to the sword a little more, but we didn't, and I guess that ties in with them only losing by narrow margins. 2 seasons ago, quite early on in the season, it was a 1-0 victory up in Yorkshire. Connor Chaplin with the only goal. It might have gone off Freddie Ladapo, but either way, a 1-0 victory. It was 2-2 in the League One promotion season, again pretty early in the campaign. 2-0 up, Caden Jackson, and Dominic Iorfa never gives the ball away. He scored an own goal. They pulled it back, however, to 2-2. Their last win was just after McKenna took charge, January 2022. It was a 1-0 win for Wednesday, as McKenna was kind of feeling out the squad and trying to work out what he wanted to do and implement some of his style and patterns of play. We had an excellent record there under Mick. It was one of those grounds Mick would go to, a bit like Derby, actually, and always somehow pull off a result. We had 3 1-all draws and 2 wins in 5 games. The 2 wins were both 2-1 victories. And I've double-checked. I think I've got this right. I think we've only lost twice at Hillsborough since 2007. We lost in 2007. And then since then, I think we've played 12. We've won 5. We've drawn 6. And we've lost 2 games. We lost 1 in the relegation season. Toto Enciala sent off, if I remember rightly. And that one I referred to in the early days under McKenna. So I think a lot of draws, but I think it's a ground we've got a decent record at.
Nice. Do you want to do a bit of both? I've got a lineup quiz for you with the shirt.
I'll do this.
Suddenly become more relevant at that point. So
are you doing the game that we went to, the Matt Holland?
Yeah.
Okay, right. I'll have a think. I'm doing the bit of both for you first then. Right, so bit of both. I think you'll get this one. I think I've made this one a little bit too easy, but there is a red herring in there, so I'll give you that bit of a clue. Joined Town on loan in the summer of 2012, making 9 appearances.
Didn't give me the chance for a hole in naught. I was going to go Jim Magilton because I thought you'd go super easy and make the clues really obscure, but probably the most famous bit of both, isn't he, Magilton? I need to hide the chat.
Probably.
2012, did you say?
Yeah, so this is dual summer. This is the summer, I think, of Aaron Creswell? Chambers? Okay. I think. Definitely Chambers, maybe not Aaron Creswell. Maybe he was a year before.
Yeah, I was thinking Adam Proudlock. That's a couple of years before that. I'm trying to find. Yeah. Next.
Joined Sheffield Wednesday in 2019, stayed for 3 seasons, making 64 appearances.
See, I'm struggling with the position. You haven't given me the position yet, have you?
No.
2012. I'm trying to think of that team now. Yeah. Next.
Clue 3. Rejoined Town in January 2023, making 69 appearances, scoring 5 goals.
Oh, no.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
January 2023.
Yeah, but I can't. So that was the championship promotion season, wasn't it? Oh, Massimo Luongo?
Massimo Luongo, yeah.
Phew.
You'd have got it. My 4th clue was Ballon d'Or nominee in 2015, which I assume you would have got it at.
Got there. Did anyone beat me? That's the question. We've got Neil. I'm trying to figure out the timings. It was the only one. Well, a point for you, Neil. We'll give you a point there. That was almost uncomfortable. It shouldn't have been. The trouble is...
I thought I'd throw you with the 2012 loan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, yeah. See. Couldn't make it too easy.
Massimo, yeah. But yeah, a lot of midfielders. Alan Quinn was in my thinking as well. I thought that might be one that you'd chuck at me.
Tommy Miller is in there as well.
Tommy Miller, great shout. David Johnson, as we found out last time.
Jono, Shefki Kuchi.
Kuchi, yeah, nice. Yeah, some good shouts there. And it didn't work out. George Hurst, Leicester, Georgia, David Hurst, son of David Hurst, Sheffield Wednesday legend. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. We'll come back to George Hurst later on. Whether I'm trying to remember last week, he didn't score, did he? Did he score
against
Leicester? No, he didn't, did he?
No. He's got 3 and 3 off the bench. But he didn't score against Leicester.
Should have scored. Yeah. Lineup quiz then. Yeah, 2000. I'm taking you back to March the 15th. Yeah, 2003. This is Ipswich Town team, Joe Royal team by numbers. The bench is quite interesting and fun, but yeah, they're in no excuses territory here, Sebram.
Right, so we were there. Oh, Christ, this is a long time ago, isn't it? So this is this is the first season back down. So Andy Marshall must be the keeper.
He's in goal.
Fabian Wilness.
Correct.
Matt Holland scored.
Correct.
Matt Richards.
Yep. Nice. I thought you might struggle on that one. No, Matt
John
Richards.
McGreal.
No, John McGreal, though.
Thomas Gardso, then.
Nice. Correct.
Chris Makin.
No.
What's the formation? Is it a 3?
I think it's a 4-4-F and 2.
Okay. So
I think you've got, we are
Naylor at the back at this stage?
Yeah. I think
okay, yeah.
It looks a bit weird in the view that I've got, but I think it's Naylor at centre back alongside guard. So it might be no, I don't think it's a back 4. It's back 5.
I've got the defence then. I've got Matt Holland in midfield. Magilton alongside Matt Holland.
Yes.
Tommy Miller.
No. So you need the wide midfielders.
Ian Westlake.
On the bench.
Jermaine Wright.
Yes.
Frenidi's gone last. Roycer, is he back?
Yes. Nice. Yeah. Well, do you remember he scored, was it AFC Wimbledon at the hockey stadium? Roycer Gillingham away. I think Roycer comes back into the team at this point, doesn't he? Gets some goals. So yeah, he was down the left, and then up front.
So it's either it's 2 out of 3 of Darren Bent, Marcus Bent, or Pablo, isn't it? I will go with Darren Bent and Pablo.
Oh, so close! It was a pair of Bents, Darren and Marcus. Pablo on the bench, along with James Pullen, Dean Bowditch.
Okay.
Pablo was on the bench. You mentioned Westlake too. Also on the bench, Nabil Abdallah.
Oh, remember him?
Nice. There you go. Well done.
Didn't he come on I'm sure he came on in the Premier League at home to Everton, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, he celebrated with maybe
Jermaine Wright
or something like that. Yeah, maybe Matt Holland's goal. Yeah, nice. In terms of Sheffield Wednesday's lineup, I don't think it was a vintage era for Wednesday. Cucci played for them. I think one of Alan or Stephen Quinn played on the bench. Kevin Pressman, a name that people will know, but yeah, not a great Sheffield Wednesday team, and yeah, only the 1-0 victory, but it put us on the route for playoffs, did it not?
No, we missed out. That we finished 7th. This is the season at the end where we played Derby on the last day 4-1, and then Holland goes, and they all go. Yeah, this is before we signed Kelvin Davis, so we've still got Andy Marshall.
We're aspiring to it. Anyone do well? I've got a shout for Dalian Atkinson for a bit of both. We've got Naylor from David Bradley early doors on with Ipswich Old Boy. A lot of love for Naylor in the chat. Had a team in my cafe in Woodbridge on Kiso. There you go. So yeah, there you go. A bit of history there, and yeah, I do like this shirt, although the 2 lines are a little bit Adidas rip-off down the market or whatever, isn't it? We move on. In terms of the Sheffield Wednesday team of 2026, it's loans, isn't it? I think they're under some kind of embargo, aren't they? So freezing loans.
They were placed under an embargo for the late payment of players. They're under a plan with the EFL. They were given some dispensation kind of after the administration came in, going into December, to sign the likes of Liam Cooper. Nathan Redmond, I think, went there, if I remember rightly. I think they've had about 5 goalkeepers this season. So the business in January was all loans or frees. Jerry Yates, we've mentioned him, 3 goals in 3 games, came in on loan from Blackpool. Marvellous Nakamba, a free from Luton. I remember doing quite well in Luton's promotion campaign, ex-Villa, if I remember rightly. So he's coming to central midfield. Zine Silcott Dewberry has come in from the Olympiacos B team. I'm sure many people know about him. And if you're ready to feel old, Jaden Heskey, son of Emil, who Yeah, led the line for England so many times in tournaments when we were slightly younger. Central midfielder, he's come in on loan from Wigan. He put in a hell of a challenge in the Watford game, right on the touchline, and got himself a booking. Lucky not to be sent off, so he will be featuring at the weekend, maybe a bit fortunately. In terms of departures, Barry Bannon moved on to Millwall. We all saw the scenes of him clapping the Wednesday fans in his last game. He's gone for an undisclosed fee to Millwall. No surprise. I guess the administrators have to try and save money where they can, and his wage was probably still the top wage at the club. So he's moved on. Bailey Cadamarteri, highly rated, son of Danny, went to Wrexham for £1 million, very highly rated by all accounts. So yeah, Wrexham doing a bit of decent business there for the future, I would suggest. And Harry Amas, the left back who started really well on loan from Man United, he got recalled and then straight away loaned out to Norwich and then straight away got injured and is out for the season. So they lost two crucial players, I would suggest, for the first half of the season in Barry Bannon and Harry Amas. And yeah, they've just got to try and plug the gaps as best they can for another 10 games or so.
Let's talk about system then, Seb.
Yeah, so tactical pad up on the screen now. There's not that much to talk about, I'll be honest, because of you'll see in a minute, the kind of the mess it gets into. It's a back 3/5 system. That's what they've kind of played most of the season. They have dabbled with 4 at the back on a handful of occasions, but the vast majority is a 3 or a 5. 3-5-2 has been used 11 times. 3-4-2-1 has been used 9 times. It was very much a 5 at the back against Watford on Tuesday night. You'll see there on the screen a load of names who you won't recognise because of the way they're dealing in terms of the kids that are in the side and the loans and the freebies, that kind of stuff. They've also got a bit of an injury crisis that I'll discuss later on. So Jerry Yates up front with Jamal Lowe. Jamal Lowe has caused us problems in the past when he was at Swansea at Portman Road, so experienced at this level. Ingleson, I'll talk about in a minute, and Liam Palmer, incredibly experienced, obviously. Keepers highly rated in Pierce Childs, but you'll see in a minute it all gets kind of a bit messy. If I roll it forward to the average player positions, they really look to cluster the middle of the park there. You've got 2 of the central midfielders and the 2 strikers kind of taking up positions almost within the centre circle. So that to me strikes me as a side that is looking to kind of, win the ball in the middle of the park and then look to push out quickly. So maybe a counter-attacking kind of philosophy, contain as best they can. The 2 fullbacks, Fusere, who put the ball in for the Jerry Yates goal against Watford, the right fullback, and Adamarola, the left fullback, they don't really advance that much. They're kind of on the halfway line as their average position, so they're not ones that are going to be constantly bombing into the half, given the space at the back they'll be looking to lock down. Liam Palmer almost steps slightly ahead of the 2 defenders. There's 3 at the back. He slightly steps ahead. And I think that was evident in I think it was one of the Derby goals the previous week. He almost took on a sort of a defensive midfielder role, I guess, using all that experience he's got to step out and sniff out danger, but he did get short, and that led to one of the Derby goals last time out before the Watford game. Move it forward again to the average, the heat map, so where they touched the ball the most. I've mentioned Liam Palmer in that almost sitting defensive midfield position alongside Thornton, who's a kid. Those 2 kind of provide the screen in front of Odebago and McGee. McGee is very young, very inexperienced. He's the left centre-back. As you'll see, Adamarola tucks right back, so he's not a player that looks to get advanced, certainly in this instance against Watford. And then Yates and Lowe almost form a pretty identical kind of partnership. It's a 2 up front, as I just said. Fusere is the kind of player that does like to bomb on a little bit, so he's not an overly adventurous fullback, but he looked willed to get forward. I think the ball he put in for the goal was probably pretty much from that exact spot on the screen up there. And then Jaden Heskey and Ingleson seem to have that slight license to get forward in support of the forward players, with Liam Palmer and Thornton sitting at the back and mopping up. Unsurprisingly, the vast majority of their stats are bottom of the league, so I'm not going to start listing them all off because they're last place for pretty much everything. They're not high pressers, 5th lowest for possession and bottom for possession 1 in the final third. They do like to go down the right. 41% of attacks down that side is the 3rd highest in the division. So we've mentioned a Fusere. That's where the goal came from against Watford. Watch that side for them getting forward. They're not long ball, mid-table for long balls per game, mid-table for direct speed from back to front. So they're not a side that will look to just knock it long and hope the likes of Jamal Lowe or Yates can hold on to the ball. That's not their game plan. They don't really cross either. They're the fewest crosses per game, averaging only 15. And there's so many issues around chance creation. Unsurprisingly, bottom for chances created, bottom for big chances created, and their XG, the few chances they do create, they don't put them away. They've got their 8th highest underachievers for XG, 32 on the XG counter, only 23 goals so far this season. Some defensive stats to throw at you. 21 goals conceded from set pieces is the highest in the league. 9 goals conceded on the counter attack is the highest in the league. 28 errors leading to shots is the highest in the league. 9 errors leading to goals is the second highest in the league. And that, as you say,
we're not first in that stat, are we? By the way, it feels like we are.
No, that comes with kids, playing kids at the back, playing people out of position, playing an aging squad where you can't rest players and manage the game time properly. That's just a consequence of the position they find themselves in with the squad.
And FPL Tractor observed it from the tactical pad. I saw it as a 3-2-3-2 formation. He's called it the 5-0-5 formation. It looked, at least on the heat map or the touch map, very much like two bands of players in the defensive and attacking thirds of the pitch. Yeah. So a little bit chaotic, potentially being drawn out of position by the opposition. And yeah, we've got to take advantage, haven't we? We've highlighted a few of the key men already. Jerry Yates and his goal scoring in recent weeks. Charlie McNeil's the top scorer, and you've Liam Palmer needs a 500 appearance for them. Yeah. Tuesday night. It's a great record. You've talked about Pierce Charles. We mentioned him in December, didn't we? Highly rated keeper, but busy. Anything kind of can you meant to talk about, Seb?
Just Spencer Engelson, the central midfielder, the number 8 in the thing, but then he plays on the left of the 3-man central midfield. His stats are pretty much double anybody else in the Wednesday squad. He's created 36 chances, which is twice highest of the next kind of creative player in the team. 4 big chances created, but no assists. So yeah, he's kind of on a one-man mission to try and create Wednesday's chances as best he can. He might be one of their set piece takers. I haven't looked into that, and that might be why he's so much higher than the rest of them. But yeah, he's kind of a decent, solid pro who will patrol the left-hand side of the pitch. And Pierce Charles, who just mentioned, I guess it's only the injuries this season that mean he wasn't sold. He's very highly rated. He's very good with the ball at his feet, and I guess he'll be off in the summer. And I guess it's only the fact they've had to, I think they signed Sonny Dieng on loan in an emergency loan in January. Ivan Horvath was certainly there in the first part of the season on an emergency loan as well. So he's had a few injuries throughout the season. He's the busiest keeper per 90 minutes in the league, averaging 4 saves per match, and he's got a 68% save rate. So he's a good young prospect. But if I'm honest, I don't think he'll be there much longer.
No, and you mentioned an injury crisis too. Probably the key names I'd say are Liam Cooper, who scored the goal at Portman Road, Deshaun Barnard, Max Lowe. There are some critical players there, and just a lot of injuries, and to be expected, I guess, for them, isn't it?
Yes, and Nathaniel Chalobah is another one. He's very experienced at this level. He missed the Watford game. I think he got injured in training, so he must be considered a doubt. So when you take into account Chalobah, Max Lowe, Deshaun Bernard, Liam Cooper, you've got a lot of experience at this level there that's not available, which is just hurting them further. So yeah, they'll likely all be out for the weekend.
Nice one. Thank you, Seb, for talking us through Sheffield Wednesday. We'll take a short break and we'll be back to talk in plenty of detail about Ipswich Town. Do get your thoughts on rotation situations for Kieran McKenna to think about. We've clearly got a suspension for Kitbray. We've got some potential injury situations to manage as well. So a few debates to have there. So get your thinking caps on. And of course, we'll always end, as we do here on Prematch Show, with your predictions too. So get your thinking hats on, as we say. And we'll be back after this.
Blue Monday is brought to you in partnership with Atwell Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for property and business law. Whether you're buying a home, starting a business, or just need legal guidance, our dedicated team has got you covered. Trust our award-winning customer service team to handle your legal matters with care and expertise. Find out more at atwells.com or visit us at our offices in Ipswich, Colchester, London, and our new location in Woodbridge.
Thank you to Atwells for their support of the channel this season, and One Stop Badges, who are our friends here on the Prematch Show. You can find out more about both by clicking the links in the description, both on YouTube and on podcast. In terms of bits and pieces coming up, I mentioned if you want to relive Tuesday night, you can watch Dave and my reaction to Stoke. But out tomorrow, Friday, on Top Tier will be the weekend preview, an alternative look at Town's game, but also a more general look at the programme of championship fixtures this weekend. And there is a couple of interesting matchups there, which Seb and I will have a brief chat about, but Henry and George will do a much better job of it on Top Tier. Flagship Show will be back Sunday night live with Ben, Dave, and there's a late fitness test around Joe. So it's high probability that it'll be one of Seb or I that make up the number of Joes unavailable. But I think all of us want Joe at this point of the season to give us his positivity. So hopefully he'll make it. And Beyond the Scoreline will be back midweek. I don't think we haven't got a Tuesday night game, have we, Seb? So Beyond the Scoreline should be back Monday at the usual time to look back on Sheffield Wednesday from a more tactical or analytical perspective. We appreciate everyone who's joined us live here in the chat. Please give us a thumbs up to let us know you're there and help nudge us up the right charts in terms of algorithms here on YouTube. But we also appreciate great numbers listening on podcasts. Thank you so much for that. Please do give us a 5-star rating and add to the reviews that we've had of late, which have been really lovely. So thank you if you've left us a review on Apple Podcasts, is where I tend to look, but Spotify too. So thank you everyone for giving us warm, fuzzy feelings about all the work that we're doing here on Blue Monday. So what does Kieran McKenna do here, Seb? We are off the back of 2 draws, admittedly some mitigating circumstances, but I think enough to warrant, and maybe, you don't want to disrespect the opposition too much, but an opportunity to rest people that might need a rest. But his hand is forced in a few areas, isn't it? So should we go back to front this week and you can give me your takes on some of these selection dilemmas that he has? Should we start with who replaces Kipre? Because I think that's probably more straightforward.
It's Greaves, isn't it? Greaves comes in alongside O'Shea. Walton's the keeper, obviously. Leif Davis left back. Dara O'Shea, the right centre back. Is there a question over Darnell Furlong? So Furlong and Mehmeti, along with Matasiwa, are all on 9 bookings, and the Sheffield Wednesday game is the last game before the cut-off when it goes to 15 bookings for a 3-match ban. So is there a world potentially where Ben Johnson gets a game at right back, Furlong sits it out, and therefore isn't a card risk? I'm not sure. I think he probably will start Furlong, if I'm honest, but just an interesting kind of debate to have quickly. Central midfield, if Matasiwa, the reason he went off, so you were saying it wasn't that clear on Sky. So we had a corner at one point in the second half on Tuesday night. Matasiwa stayed on the halfway line because they left one of their strikers up, and he was absolutely screaming to the bench that clearly he'd felt something and therefore couldn't continue. And they turned around straight away and got Dan Neil ready. And I think they may have made, if Dan Neil had been slightly 30 seconds quicker, they may have made the substitution before the corner because Matasiwa was signaling he wasn't able to continue. So if he's got any doubts regarding his hamstring, don't have him anywhere near this game. I mean, the yellow card thing is a factor as well. He's done incredibly well. Is it 17 games now without a yellow card or something insane, isn't it? So fair play. I didn't think he'd do it in the slightest. And there was a moment on Tuesday night, I don't know if Sky showed it, he committed a foul and the ref did the totting up thing. So I thought either he's going to book him now or one more, and he's definitely booked, but he managed to continue that disciplinary tightrope. So combination of the hamstring, combination of the yellow card thing, wouldn't have him anywhere near Hillsborough on Saturday, personally. I had Dan Neil in the defensive role alongside Jack Taylor or Keyes. You could probably play either, to be honest, couldn't you? I mean, Taylor makes the mistake for the second Stoke goal, but kind of scores the equaliser to redeem himself. And it might be a game that suits Keyes because it's not going to be, we're not talking a blood and thunder kind of midfield battle, I don't think, at the weekend. So wouldn't be overly surprised if he were to come in, but stick my neck on the line, I'll say Neil and Taylor as the central 2. Wes Burns, I'd be surprised if he can go again. I was surprised he started against Stoke, and he was probably our best player after half-time as we looked to really kind of, rally and go for it. It was him that deflection, for the opening goal, for our opening goal, should have scored from the corner, put that header ever so narrowly wide. So if he can go again, great, but I'd be surprised. I think Egley probably comes in and gets a start. And then we've got issues in the area of the team that was our absolute strongest point at times this season. We've got an issue in the 10 and an issue in left midfield. Mehmeti is on 9 yellows, but he's going to have to start. It's just a case of where does he start? Do you rest Jack Clark, who I thought was pretty awful, certainly in the first half against Stoke? He's played a lot of football recently. He's playing 90 minutes on quite a few occasions because there's no natural relief for him with Philogene being out. So do you put Akpom in the 10 potentially and shift Mehmeti out wide left? Nunez, we know, is out until after the international break. So there's a conversation to be had there about those two. Or you play Clark again and Mehmeti stays in the 10. And then I want George Hurst up front. Azon for me. I was so...
Go on, Seb.
The rest of the season, I want George Hurst or Akpom to be the 2 starting 9s. Azon has left a lot of goals out there. I think he's improved across the season, but the way he throws himself to the ground, he doesn't win any favours with referees. And then when he does get fouled, he's cried wolf so many times that he doesn't get the decisions. And the reaction, the first Stoke goal is scored because, he might be fouled on the touchline, but instead of getting up, tracking back, putting in the challenge, he turns around and has a go at the linesman, and they score from the move. And there was one in the second half in front of us where it's a strong challenge from the Stoke right back, I think it was, but he's down on the ground rolling around for 30, 40, 50 seconds. And in the end, Jack Taylor has to come over and kind of say, get up, let's get on with it.
Yeah.
So he's improved, but not
But his bread and butter is the chance from that brilliant through ball from Mehmeti, quite similar to Kipray's ball to Hurst, where for some reason Azon ends up on his arse, doesn't he?
Doesn't connect, slides in, doesn't connect. So no, for me, it's an experiment that hasn't worked. I think having him as the second choice striker for the season was a risk. Obviously, there was some debate in the summer regarding the deal. We pulled out of the deal when there was an obligation, and we went back in when it was an option. He's improved. He's definitely better than he was last August, but the
more of a home player as well.
The ground it's not for me. So Hurst up front for me. You mentioned a few weeks ago that I forgot that Hurst always tends to do pretty badly against his former sides. Injury against Sheffield Wednesday, injury against Leicester in the home games, I think. So hopefully he can break that curse, and I'd have him up front. So that's my kind of predicted lineup on the screen there. So Walton in goal, Furlong, O'Shea, Greaves, Davis, Neal and Taylor in midfield, Egley down the right, Mehmeti I've put in the 10, Jack Clark on the left, but could be Mehmeti left and Akpom through the middle, and then George Hurst up front. What do you disagree with? I guess Johnson or Furlong, central midfield, and then the three behind the striker and the striker. That's the conversation points.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of the Matasiwa situation until we came on air. In fact, I did the Wednesday week podcast just beforehand and was saying, keep a lookout for Matasiwa. He's gone under the radar, but probably one of the players of the season. So I've done McKenna a favour there by kind of, planting some doubts or whatever. And when the team comes out, they'll be completely surprised by it. I think you've got to start Neal as one of them, and not been great in his last few cameos, has he, frankly? But when he started against Swansea, was it?
Yes.
Looked decent and clearly has, that top end pedigree that we need. And as you say, I think it's a toss of a coin between Taylor and Kiyusta, maybe whether Taylor can go again from Tuesday night. Had a good shot, didn't he? Finally, we've seen a Jack Taylor shot. That's helpful, but maybe he needs a bit of a rest. So Neal and Kiyusta might be an interesting kind of attack-minded versus defensive-minded midfield duo. I think if you can get a start out of Burns, that's really helpful. But I also kind of see the logic in Egley kind of repeating his, Watford, his Leicester trick of scoring a kind of volley into the ground. That would be really helpful. And bringing Burns on, if it's a marginal game, actually feels really like a positive move for us at the moment. So I can see the logic in that. Yeah, I think you have to go with Mehmeti. And I think Clark does need a break, doesn't he? And Akpom out there, I've not got a huge amount of worry. Look, Nunes we're not going to see for until after Millwall now, are we, as you said? And Philogene might make a cameo off the bench. That would be exciting, wouldn't it?
It sounds like he's pretty close, doesn't it? It sounds like he's back in training. So hopefully, if we can get him 10, 15 minutes off the bench when the game is, pretty comfortable, hopefully we're in a commanding position, then that could be a big boost going into that Millwall game. So would you have Akpom in the 10 or would you have Akpom out left like we've seen on a couple of occasions?
I'd have Akpom in the 10 and Mehmeti out wide.
Okay.
Yeah, cutting in. And I think I totally agree with you. I thought Athon was really frustrating on Tuesday night. And as you say, even against Leicester, there's a few moments where he does really good hold-up play. He wasn't diving all over the place against Leicester, strangely. And once the referee wasn't going to be conned a few times, he should have cottoned onto that and stopped that strategy at Stoke. But it's more the chances that he's leaving out there and the positions that he doesn't take up. There's a couple of crosses in the second half against Leicester where like a Fox in the box striker, a penalty box striker has a tap in and he's not there. Akpom came in, probably should have done better with it, but at least is in the position to convert the chance, gets it on target, probably should do better. But I want to see Akpom in the team and I wouldn't have a problem with her starting up front. So, I think generally we're aligned, aren't we? I think so. Let me see what the chat has to say. Thomas's point here, I put it up before. I just need to start the second half. He said we start like the second half team versus Leicester versus the first half. I want the second half team against Stoke, at least the first half.
Well, for half an hour of it,
for 20 minutes of it,
not so much when it all went to shit.
What else have we got? So Seeger 87's given us his team. He's got Akpom up front though, and he's got Burns in there. So Walton, Furlong, O'Shea, Greaves, Davis, Neal Taylor, Burns, Mehmeti, Clark, Akpom. Big opportunity for Jacob Greaves. 2 matches, that Kipre will miss.
And we'd had that debate. We'd had that debate recently, haven't we? Because Kipre's been off it a little while. I think we've sat here and said since Sheffield United away, he's been at times not the player that we saw in the first half of the season. Maybe it's fatigue. Maybe he's a little bit of a break. There's been a lot of football, and when Greaves has come in, it's been at left back recently, so he's not played much. Kipre hasn't had much of a rest in recent weeks. So there was that debate kind of brewing, and now it's a real chance for Jacob Greaves to take that. You know, if he can come in and put in a couple of commanding performances, the shirt will be his for the run-in. We know he's going to miss both the Sheffield Wednesday game and Millwall. So, yeah, it's a potential now for Greaves to really put a marker down. He was probably, what we saw at the start of the season, he was the first choice central defender alongside O'Shea. We were kind of having those debates during the heavy rotation. Who was the better player, O'Shea or Kipre? We thought, Greaves or Kipre. We thought Greaves also had the higher ceiling, big money buy. You know, he's got the physique to be a dominant centre-back. He was, at one point, very high for carrying the ball up the pitch, brings that left-footed balance, which you do lose with Kipre. So, yeah, a real chance for him now to go and set his stall out and make the position his for the remainder of the season.
Headerer, get him in this up for the corners, Seb. Hopefully he'll have a bit more purpose and power behind his efforts than the captain. Mixed thoughts on Ben Johnson coming in. A bit of a debate going on there.
I don't think he will. I'd be surprised if he does. It's just the fact that Furlong's on those 9 bookings and perhaps isn't as disciplined as Matasiwa would be. So it would be incredibly frustrating to lose Furlong against Sheffield Wednesday and therefore, get a booking, and therefore miss out Millwall and Birmingham. That would be frustrating.
But then you got Trevor, don't treat it like a cup game. You know what happens, strongest side possible, FPL tractor. I don't like resting players in case they get booked, win the game, and then take them off. There's the counter view. Any response to that?
No, fair comment. Yeah, if you get yourself in a commanding position, you can start to make subs with one eye on that. Mehmeti's probably higher up the list in terms of getting him off at some point if the game's going to plan. But if you're pretty comfortable and you can give Ben Johnson half an hour at right back and protect Furlong and thus get over the booking threshold, that would make sense as well.
Yeah, a lot of consensus on Azon's probably due a bit of a spell on the bench, but not really a huge amount of agreement on who comes in. Joe talking about Akpom having a run. Love Azon, but he's not a finisher. Yeah. Joe frustrated by Hurst, but then Nigel got to be Hurst. Goodness me. Lots of options. Well, not options. That's the problem, isn't it? The January window. There was a Mark Ashton interview tonight, wasn't there, on Radio Suffolk, which we haven't had a chance to listen back to. We need to figure out what he said about the transfer window. Hopefully he addressed it. But yeah, I don't think there's a surefire option there, is there? I guess it's opportunity for someone to come in, isn't it?
Yeah, and Hurst has got 3 goals in his last 3 sub appearances. Didn't score against Leicester. He started that one, didn't he? Or have I made that up? I think he started that one. But he's got 3 goals. Was it Watford? Hurst against Watford, Swansea, and obviously Stoke. He's got 3 goals in 3 sub appearances. So yeah, that was the frustration when the game started to go against Stoke. He had a couple of chances. He went to the corner flag on one, but with no conviction. Got tackled straight away and broke. And then it was like 3 minutes before the end of the game when he should have gone to the corner flag that time, but he decided to blaze that one over the bar. So you kind of saw the best and the worst of him. But I still think he's better in our system and a better player than Azon. So I'd have him up there. And then if Akpom needs to play in the 10, then maybe at halfway through, whatever. Sorry, not halfway through, but at some point, if you want to sub Hurst, you could always push Akpom further up if you need to be for that physicality.
I'm being corrected in the chat that the Ashton interview is apparently tomorrow. So that's why we haven't heard anything about it. If that's the case, I thought it was tonight, but maybe I've misread. I mean, there's a lot of chat in the chat, as you'd like to think, but I don't think we've got a real consensus view here on any of the kind of dilemmas that we've talked to. So it is over to Kieran McKenna, really, isn't it, about how he approaches this one. Get your match score predictions in, everyone. We've had a few in, and I'll come to Seb on that at the moment. One name that we haven't really talked about, Casey McAteer, Seb?
Potentially, but I just think the way in recent weeks Egley was kind of the first choice when Burns couldn't play successive games. He got the nod at Watford, scored the goal. He's come off the bench against Leicester ahead of McAteer. And yeah, I just think McAteer's a more like replacement for Wes Burns, but Egley seems to be ahead of him in the pecking order. So I think McKenna might use it as a chance to give Egley Another run out, McAteer wasn't great either when he came on against Stoke. Lost the ball, was a bit lightweight on a couple of occasions. Did put one sort of decent cross in, but yeah, didn't do himself any favours, I wouldn't suggest. So I think hopefully Wes Birds, if he can start, brilliant, start him and then rest him in the second half if need be, because he's still by far the best option in that right wing position. But 3 games in a week is a big ask having come back from that injury.
Yep. Agreed. What is your sense on how Saturday's going to play out then?
Ipswich Town 2, Sheffield Wednesday 0, a professional performance. They don't get dicked, so I'm not going to sit here and predict a 4 or a 5. I think a goal in each half, some sensible game management would be nice after the kind of last 15 minutes or so against Stoke in the first half against Stoke. And I guess if we can either rest players where we're able to, or get people off on the yellow cards to protect them for those 2 big home games. Birmingham's a big game after the international break at Easter time, but that game against Millwall is absolutely huge. So get the job done as professionally as possible and then start to rest players with one eye on next Saturday. I'm kind of glad we haven't got a midweek. It feels like we've been playing midweek games forever now. So to have a clear run up to Millwall, I think is really, really important. And if we can get 10 to 15 minutes out of Philogene on Saturday, that could be a huge boost going into the Millwall game as well. So
nice.
Be professional, get it done. Don't mess around, rest players, and look to really go this time next weekend in the Millwall game before the international break.
Yeah, I'll have a bit of that. I like the sound of that. He's gone for a 3-1 though. He's got us conceding. Probably Jerry Yates from a header. But Hurst to score first is his prediction. So I think all of us want to see Hurst go on this run now. And he does have to put some of the stuff from Tuesday night to bed. Obviously scored a good goal.
It's not the goals for me.
It's
though.
the 2 moments, isn't it?
I'm not that bothered if Hurst doesn't score for the rest of the season, but what I want to see is the link play from 2 years ago. That's what I really want to see. If he were to come in for the next 10 games and score 2 goals in those 10 games, but be the George Hurst we know, create space for others, get himself 2 or 3 assists, and start to see the likes of Mehmeti, Clark, Burns shining because of the work he's putting in up front, I'd be perfectly happy with that. I don't need to see him score 5 goals in the next 10 games. I just want to see him do what he did a couple of years ago, because that is perfect in our system.
I want you to score 5 goals, George. So
okay,
do both. Bit of both. That's the motto of the podcast. We'll stick with it. David's confident. He's going for a 4-1. Again, we're conceding. I'm noticing a pattern. We've got a 2-2 from Michael. Goodness. If you want to confirm allegiances there, Michael, I have fallen foul of assuming or misinterpreting posters' intent when they share their thoughts. If it's Tuesday night.
2-2, we don't deserve to get promoted automatically. Let's be honest. We have to be ruthless and professional here. Sheffield Wednesday are in a really unfortunate set of circumstances, and obviously we wish them all the best moving forward. But we have to be absolutely ruthless at the weekend and get the job done.
We do.
It's people podcasts are saying it. I think the second tier podcast call it cashing in your Sheffield Wednesday voucher. Every side gets a chance to do it throughout the year, and we have to take full advantage on Saturday. There's no excuse territory for me on this one.
There you go. Amanda's going for a 2-1. And McAteer assist. If not score, he's close, just needs the time. And then we've got some stats on McAteer. Come on, guys. 4-1 to Michael prediction. Greaves to score. Give away a cheap pen. Brilliant. Burns cut back to Davis 3 times. Yeah, Michael always shows the working. When the fun stops, stop, Michael. I think we need to be careful there. Got a lot of confident scorelines. Yeah, Peter, back in your 2-0 there. Defro 3-0 says Nigel Hurst gets 2 and Mehmeti for the other. 1 Aid Cooper 1-0 Town. 95th minute Clark penalty. I assume Aid for a really meaningless, totally unfair decision, just to equalise things from the last 2 days, last two matches. We've got FPL also echoing your 2-0 score. SWLB 2-1, more comfortable than the score suggests. 3-0 for Seager 87, and for Shane, Higgy's going 2-0 Mehmeti. Mike 0-0. I always get it wrong, so putting that out there to tempt it. Like it, Mike. I know where you're coming from there. We've got a 2-0 from Dr. Zach King. Like a clean sheet control game, as you said. Yeah, I would like that too. I mean, I would like better. I like more than 2, but I think, as you say, just get the win at this point. Like, if we look back and have got into the automatics by getting the points necessary, how they arrived is kind of irrelevant, isn't it? So it will be good to do well, to be dominant, to score some goals and build some confidence and momentum, as we say. But actually the win is the most important thing. Hayley, thank you for continuing your membership on Top Tier. Plenty of stuff going on there. We've also had someone else join earlier as well, so we hope you enjoy Top Tier. Plenty of stuff going on. And yeah, I think that's it. We've got Clark and Hurst to score from Dr. Zach. So I think we'll stick with that. I think there's some positivity there. Get the job done. I'm trying to figure out whether it's me that needs to sign off, because we have had a couple of draws.
We're unbeaten, so yeah, we're unbeaten though. So keep it going whilst
we'll stick with me to say goodbye then. In which case, I will say firstly, thank you everyone who's joined us in the chat tonight. If it's your first time or you're one of our pre-match veterans, we appreciate you. Thank you for the thoughts and predictions in the chat. If you're traveling up to Sheffield, the Neeps End Social Club and Canteen, please give the guys, Two Town fans, your support there. We'll tweet the details, share the details, and you may or may not find members of the Blue Monday team there too. And if you're traveling up there and you're listening, let us know. Hopefully we've given you some stuff to, some knowledge to share with your fellow travelers as if it was your own. We'll be back to talk about Millwall, of course, but the flagship back Sunday night. Ben, Dave and Joe, hopefully, to talk about the game after the fact. And please give us a thumbs up or a 5-star rating before you say goodbye. Seb, over to you.
Thank you, everybody. See you this time next week for Millwall. I've already spoken out what a big game that's going to be. Hopefully see loads of you in the Neeps End Social Club. I have found 5 Blue Monday badges in the glove box of my car today as I was cleaning it out. So I will bring them with me and distribute them. If you saw me at Stoke and I didn't have any because I thought I'd run out, I have found a few more. So if you see me again, I will have one for you. Thanks to you, mate. Look forward to seeing you at the weekend. See as many of you as we can, and yeah, fingers crossed it's a professional performance, we get the job done, and then it's a huge game next weekend. So take us out, my friend, and hope to God you take us out next weekend, because if it's me taking us out and we've lost to Sheffield Wednesday, we might as well give up now.
We might as well give up. Yeah, we will. No, we'll be here, win, lose or draw. We bloody love it. Thank you everyone again for joining us. Thank you, mate. Appreciate your company as always. Get the job done. That was the motto. The pre-run-in, get the job done ahead of the real run-in. And yeah, let's build some positivity, shall we, for what's going to be an up and down, topsy-turvy end to the season, I'm sure. Hopefully it will pan out positively. Join us, as we say, Sunday night. And thank you everyone again for watching. Come on, you Blues!